will quote Star Wars for any of you girlies out there that are Star Wars fans. Only a Sith deals in absolutes. What side are you on? What do you mean, what side am I on? I'm on my side. We will probably never know what it feels to live without patriarchy. We will have that patriarchal behavior and the morality of what it needs to be a woman, what it means to be a woman according to patriarchy. It will be inside of every single one of us.
A lot of morality is fed to us under the guise of equality. Oh, if you're equal, then go to war. If you're equal, then go build the road.
If you're equal, grow boobs and feed a child, give birth to the child, be a seahorse.
Hello, everyone. Guess who's back? I hope that wasn't raspy. It's Talia. But Talia is blonde this time. Last time she was on the show, she had black hair. Now she's a blondie. So y'all know Talia. Talia, you want to give a little intro to the girls in case they don't know who you are?
Hey everyone, my name is Talia. That was terrible. My name is Talia, and I do content. I think that's something I do. I like to make content a lot for the neurodivergent girlies because I'm a neurodivergent girly myself. But sometimes my content does tend to go over into the topics of men and how to really understand how they act and why we should sometimes be very aware of their actions and protect ourselves and build our power as women and protect our power. A lot of that. Someone might call me a man hater. I don't mind them calling me that. It's just going to boost my views.
As long as they're not calling you ugly, which no one can, then who cares what they call you?
Exactly.
And you're blonde now, so is this like your alter ego? Is this like another version of Talia, more unhinged?
I think it's an era. It's an era that might last very long. Who knows? It may last until I turn gray. Who knows? It may last until I go berserk and dye it back to black, all Amy Winehouse style. Who knows? We never know. That's the beauty of me.
Either way, I'm telling my cats that this was Barbie.
That's why I'm wearing the pink shirt today.
You look like a piece of candy. Like I
I'm
want
a
to eat
Barbie
you.
girl.
In a Barbie world. Can we talk about Sabrina Carpenter, please, and her album cover? Like,
I consider myself a girl's girl, but I do also believe that in order to truly be a girl's girl, sometimes we gotta clock it when the girls are not doing something that is gonna result in good things for the girlies. I can approve of the cunty outfits. I can approve of the cunty concerts. I can approve of a lot. But there are certain things that I do feel are in need of discussion in order for us to truly understand the gravity. That was very like poetic of what it is that we're diving into. So the Sabrina album cover is something that I feel the girlies that truly want to protect their power step into feminine energy and understand the patriarchy. They need to truly clock what's going on with that album cover. What do you have to say?
like, is it satire? I know a lot of her stuff is satirical, but if you have to explain satire and it's not landing, then it's not satire. So that can be it. But I just, I don't know. I feel like the whole people saying that like sexualizing yourself and being like sexually free is liberating and is like empowering and is a part of feminism. Sure, but I feel like being sexualized is the default. So whether you like it or not, you're gonna be sexualized, and if you do it on your own terms, fine. You're at least taking control. But I I feel like there's more power in being less available and giving people less access to you and having a little bit of mystery around your body, your like sexual, I don't know, like aura, than it is to give people all that access. So I don't know. I feel like we're living in a time right now where, and this is not new. I mean, like, even like with Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, almost like over 20 years ago, like, this is not
Most female
new. Yeah, it's not in the 80s. I listen to a lot of 80s music, and it's filthy, but it's more like subtle, a lot of it. Like if you listen to Like a Prayer by Madonna, you'll know that it's like, but it's not like outright. Like someone like Sexy Red, I can't fucking stand her cuz like this girl rapped about her booty hole. She's like, my coochie pink, my booty hole
artists.
brown. I'm like, hello? Do you go and say to your mom, like, hey mom, I released a song, come listen to this? Like, I don't know. I feel like there's more empowerment in being selective and having like strategic absence and mystery than there is about like giving just unfiltered full access to you. That's my 2 cents.
I think personally, I believe 100% that a woman can do whatever it is she wants to do. But I do believe there's a big difference between, using the power of sex appeal as a woman to gain access to earning more money. So in the long run, you can be established and not have to worry. And then something like the Sabrina Carpenter cover that is directly very related to the whole like 50s housewife aesthetic where it's like a woman being subservient. And especially when you have a very very young following and a very like like the Taylor Swift type following where everyone's very like, oh my god, we're really trying to emulate her energy. That is something that I fear is a little dangerous because I don't think that I mean, personally, with the whole sexy rut thing, the one thing I can respect is at least it's outrageous. There's nothing hiding that it's outrageous. Being
Yeah.
very honest about the fact that it's outrageous, that makes it very much easier to deselect. I think the gray area comes in when, as you said before, when things are satirical, but they're not necessarily like satirical in a way that if the joke doesn't like sit like if you don't get the joke, okay, no harm, no foul. You don't If you don't know, you don't know. But with this, if you don't get the joke, the image has a specific undertone that is going to be misrepresented a lot, which I do think can truly be detrimental. Because I believe in autonomy, but I also know that the whole, as you said, with the whole like gatekeeping yourself might be a little more empowering maybe to you, or I believe in that a lot too. But I do know that 10 years ago we came from the whole like, oh, women having sex is like, oh yeah, women can have sex like men, women are like men, and we're girl bossing and like sexuality and femininity. I think we're truly getting to a point now where we have to understand, well, this is what we were actually going to talk about today a little bit, that morality is different. And we cannot be putting each woman in the same box because us women have a tendency to believe that whatever it is one woman does or whatever it is we believe, that's the ultimate truth because we're effectively, collectively raised to believe we need to be very, very homogenous in the way that we believe morality exists for women. So that's why I say like Sexy Red can do whatever she wants, and Sabrina Carpenter can technically also do whatever she wants. The issue for me comes along when it's an image that is suggesting something that is not necessarily going to be read in a satirical way. While you know for a fact that if someone says that their booty hole is brown, then that's like, okay, you got to screw loose, and I can respect that. Like,
No, that's so true. Like if there's a very clear contrast between like these two, I wanted to say artists, but I do not consider Sexy Red an artist. I'd say these two individuals. Um, but it just it's just that cover, the way they did her makeup too. It looks like her eyes are like red and puffy. Like it almost looks like she's been abused or like cried. It just looks really graphic to me. I don't know. There's only one way you can interpret a picture like that, in my opinion. And then with the name man's best friend, like you're calling yourself a dog, it just
I would
I don't
rather
know.
see her drag a man along in a dog mask saying,
Exactly.
man's my best friend. But that's where I fear that we're again giving into the male gaze, because as much as we don't, as much as it seems like Sabrina Carpenter's fans might be all feminine, female, or whatever, we also know that the male media response, the patriarchy, I mean, the media is basically patriarchy too, responds to a woman in a society where we're all on some, we need equality and women are bosses. It responds very well to a woman making herself subservient. And I think that there are ways to do that where it's like, oh my God, I'm a girly girl and I want my man to take care of me. Like, okay, I can get that. But if it's like on some, you're on the ground running after him like a dog, that's where there are ways to do it tastefully, even if it's an untasteful um, topic. When you're an artist, I know that sometimes you've got to be a little outrageous to get attention, but when you have an audience that is very like on some, oh, I want to express myself the way you do, that's what we see at the concerts. Like
Yeah.
everyone dresses up like Sabrina Carpenter. What's the next thing? We're gonna have the boyfriends coming around dragging their girlfriends on a leash. I mean, that's the worst case scenario, but it is something that's worth bringing up.
Do you think it's wrong what she did or the way she's portraying herself? Would you call that wrong?
I think with the whole topic of morality that we've touched a little bit on, I don't think necessarily it is wrong. I think wrong is a strong word, and I think it's a dangerous word to throw after women because women are already told so much that we're wrong if we don't do things a specific way. But I believe for me, the word I would use was probably distasteful, and just inconsiderate, because wrong is, it exists. It not it exists, so it's there. She did it. It's out. It does exist, so I can't per se say that it's necessarily wrong. She's getting a lot of people riled up about it and talking about it, so she's absolutely making moves that are making people talk, and that can be considered the right move to make when you're very, very famous. But I also do consider it rather distasteful, and it's not something that if I had a daughter, I would have. I would feel like I need to sit down and have a conversation about this with her. Like,
Yeah.
because when I was 13, I didn't get that.
Yeah. So you would say it's like right, or I guess this is my perspective. It's right for her in a sense because she's getting publicity for this. People are gonna want to listen to that album whether they like this photo or not, men, women, everybody. So she's gonna make money off of it. She's getting attention from it. It's sparking conversation among women and having people bounce ideas and discuss things. So I guess it can be right in that sense if we're talking about right and wrong. But then for somebody more impressionable, for younger girls, for her fans who want to emulate her, dress like her, act like her, it could be kind of problematic.
Exactly. And I think that's the nuance we have to gauge. I think a lot of the times we're very quick, especially as women, to gauge things as like, is it wrong or is it right? And then if a woman does something wrong, like immediately she's canceled. Like a man can do many, 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 many things wrong. And he
Chris
will
Brown has
still
an
be considered,
audience.
I mean, well, I was going to say Kanye West. and and he will still be considered a god, like an art, like a wow. But a woman does one thing that is wrong, and then all the bells are ringing. And that's where I'm like, I will give her the grace of understanding that if you want to make it, sometimes you need to be a little out there. You need to get people to discuss you. You need to sometimes be a little more um I don't know if I want to say problematic, but you need to be a little someone that people question maybe a little bit. And I think us women, I think that's something that that picture can make us discuss more the nuance of what it means. Because if you are a woman and you want to make it big, you have to be willing to compromise on your morals and what might seem like, oh, that's the right thing to do, or this is what we're going to do for the girlies. But in reality, she's doing what probably she needs to do in order for her to get her career going. Not saying that that move is not problematic. Um, but if a woman is doing that to get her business growing or whatever, she will be judged 200% more harshly than if a man did the same. If a man made some movie where he's like some, I don't know, criminal who traps people in a basement, like people will be like, oh my God, you're so creative. And now because she's doing this and she's painting herself as subservient, like, oh, it's problematic. That's where like the whole moral thing, like, is it what standard of morality do we really uphold women to? And do we end up upholding ourselves to a moral standard that actually sets us back? Because first and foremost, we're afraid of discussing anything as nuanced. So we just deem it bad or good. And that ends up making it so that it's kind of like an us and them thing. Like,
Hmm.
oh, this is how they do it, and this is how they do it, and we can't mesh. And I think that severs so many ties and it makes so many women not be able to see other perspectives and live among people that might not have the same opinion as them.
What, like, what would you say is morality? How would you describe it?
I think, I think in the modern world, in the patriarchy, in the patriarchy, I think morality is a word that is thrown around to make us subservient because it's a word that is very heavily connected to guilt. And women love to know that they're doing things right because we're raised to be people pleasers, especially, as I always say, if you're a neurodivergent woman, if you're going to try to clock social cues or systems or the way things work very much more to a point where you might fall into the trap of thinking this is how I need to do things. Like you start to try to mask to how you think morality works instead of maybe masking in a way that actually makes you get more like forward your life, get better results. Because you can also do that. I very much believe that that's a tool you can use as a neurodivergent, masking to better your life. But that's not masking for maintenance. I think that masking for maintenance or that trying to fit in with whatever patriarchy says, it is going to make you believe that, okay, this is how things are. This is the rule book. And that's morality. Like, oh, women need to do things like this. And if they're not doing this, then they're going to be burned at the stake.
I think under the patriarchy, we're taught to believe in moral absolutism. Like there are objective moral truths, like that are universally right and universally wrong. And I think that a lot of this has been shaped by religion
Absolutely.
and lots of institutions, mainly religion, that are fear based, guilt based, shame based, that say that if you don't do this, you're going to be punished. You're going to go to
Absolutely.
hell. And to me, morality is a tool for control. Like, I love what you said. You're like, morality is a word. Morality is literally a word. To me, it means control. And I like to believe, and I I read a lot of philosophy. I did my degree in political theory, my master's, and so I read a lot
Women in
of
STEM.
philosophy. Literally women in STEM. Okay, per. And Nietzsche. Nietzsche writes about morality and he talks about it as master and slave morality. And he says, master morality. So society is divided between the masters, which is like the powerful, wealthy minority, like the ruling class, and then the slaves or the herd, which is the majority, the working class. Like it's basically like divided along socioeconomic and
Yeah,
class based lines. But basically, he says that master morality is self affirming. So the masters are rich, powerful, ambitious. So they define morality as those traits that reflect them that are good. It's good to be ambitious. It's good to be powerful. It's good to be wealthy. It's good to be clever. And then the slaves or the herd, I'll call them the herd define morality as the opposite of what the masters represent. So if the masters are ambitious, it's wrong to be ambitious, it's good to be humble. Or let's say greedy. They call wealth greed, for example. They say, well, it's wrong to be greedy and wrong to be wealthy. It's better to be modest. And so they define what's evil based on what the masters are, and then they create a morality based on, again, in a way, self-affirming their position in society. But to me, I read that as slave morality or herd morality is based on resentment and envy of the masters. And I see that as the way society operates, but instead of the masters and the herd being divided along socioeconomic lines, I think of them as men versus women.
Hmm.
And I don't like the whole men versus women
No.
divide, but this is how I think of this. The morality that we've been taught is created by powerful men. So when we're talking about this, my interpretation of morality based on Nietzsche's interpretation, I'm talking about men versus women, powerful men versus women. I think the masters are the women and the herd are the men. And I'm not talking about numbers, like majority versus minority. I'm talking about a lot of morality that polices women's behavior and self image is centered on the things that are wrong. It's wrong for us to be um, sexual, for example. That's wrong. You're a whore. You're a slut if you act like that. It's wrong for you to own your beauty because that's called vanity. You're self centered. You're a narcissist. You're vain. It's wrong for you to do so many things as a woman. And those are all based on traits that we have. A lot of them are innate traits that women have that I think men are threatened by, or men see themselves as not having a defense against them, because I think men are slaves to their lust a lot of the time. And so they define those feminine traits as bad and then define what is reflective of them as good, like being loud, being obnoxious, being a very firm leader, all that sort of crap. So that that's my way of interpreting morality. So morality policing women specifically. So
Yeah.
yeah. Hey everyone, it's editing neeki here. I just wanted to give you a heads up that Talia's phone is gonna beep because she gets a text. So I'm just letting you know so that you don't get tripped out. And Talia, if you're listening to this, girl, put your phone on do not disturb. All right, carry on.
It reminds me very much of the whole, like, the when you read the Bible, it says something like blessed are the meek. And it's all about, it's like like on some, oh, you need to be meek, or you need to be bow down, or you need to be suffering in order for you, like on some, like, okay, if we write in this book, and I'm not saying the Bible can't be good. I grew up Christian myself, so I do think that there's a lot to learn from the Bible. um I think there's a lot of interesting things when it comes to, as you said, the thing about religion too, where when it comes to women have a lot of these um, inherent traits, like our interest in just beautifying things, and also our interest in community, that I think a lot of the time we end up being vilified for. But I think, on the same note, I also think that women also naturally have some of the masculine traits, but I think women are actually better at balancing both the feminine and the masculine. And I think that's why morality becomes such a big thing for men to enforce upon women, because men hate the fact that women are actually better at controlling their own lust, and they're also capable of leading while at the same time nurturing. Like, they can do everything. So the way that they police it is to make it seem like whatever a woman does, some of the things that women do are only for men, like being lustful. Oh, if a man is lustful, he's just a player, but if a woman is lustful, then she's a whore. And I think that's where the whole thing about morality, especially in the modern world, is a topic that we have to talk about, but we also have to be very aware of as women that this is a topic that we are blindsided to because we've never lived without morality being forced upon us. I always like, you would like to reference Nietzsche. I'm going to reference, we're going to be very women of STEM here today. I'm going to
I love
reference
this.
amazing George Orwell in the book Animal Farm, where when the farm, the animals do not like the fact that the farmer is not a nice man. They want to take over the farm and they raid the farm. They get the farmer out of there and then they take over the farm. And supposedly that means that now all of the animals are equal and um, they all can share whatever it is because they took over the farm together. And in the beginning on the barn, they write all animals are equal. Like, oh yeah, we're all equal. But because these animals do not know what being equal means, that actually means that some of the animals actually take over power and they still make it seem like everyone's equal. They still spit that lie that everyone's equal. Everyone's just the same. There's no differentiating in power. Everyone's the same. Until the day where it says on the barn, all animals are equal except some animals that are more equal than others. And I think that reflects very much the fact that we as women, we are very blindsided by this idea of morality. We think that we live in an era where now we have equality or whatever, but really, when you've never had equality, when patriarchy has had such a big grasp on humanity, we will probably never know what it feels to live without patriarchy. So we also need to be very good at clocking the fact that we will have that patriarchal behavior and the morality of what it needs to be a woman, what it means to be a woman according to patriarchy. It will be inside of every single one of us, even if we believe that we have purged it, because we do not know what a society without patriarchy looks like. And I think that's a really, really interesting way of gauging morality, because we as women believe like there's a right and a wrong, but in reality the society is we will never be able to leave that bubble of what is, oh, this is right or this is wrong, so why not just be wrong? Everything will always be set up as, oh, we're equal, oh, we're all good, oh, things are right now. There's a right and a wrong now. There, in each generation there's a right and a wrong, but the fact is we're all still cast under a patriarchy. So we just have to learn, okay, you know what, there's always going to be as much of patriarchy. We're probably not going to actually ever see a society without it. It's better for us to assume, you know what, we're going to have to go ahead and do what we need to do. As you always say, we need to do whatever it is we need to do in this society to make it good with what we have, because we're not probably not going to be free from it. And that's why I think it's so important to talk about morality, because what is morality even? It's a way to make us believe that there's some way for us to gain independence from something that is literally a shield over our eyes that we probably can never lift, as sad as it sounds.
Like when you said every generation has what they define as right or wrong, so this concept of morality changes. So it can't be absolute. It can't be objective if it
Exactly.
depends on generations. It depends on culture. It depends on
Culture.
religion. Yeah. It depends on your gender because it even depends on, and an example I was thinking about, because I think a lot of people, their mind might go to an extreme and say, well, if morality doesn't exist, then can we just go and kill people? And like, if we think about murder, for example, we would think that it's wrong because there's religious texts that say that. We're also raised to think that. The law says that you shouldn't be killing somebody unless it's like some very specific
Energetically.
circumstances. Yeah.
Energetically. Like,
But then the same institution, the state that codified the law that said do not kill people, has a monopoly over killing people, like with war. So if you go to war and you kill somebody, you're not going to go to jail for that. That was an act of liberation for your country. You know, it was you're a hero, for example. Or countries that have the death penalty. So the government, the state has monopolized murder. It is the only power that is allowed to carry out murder with no repercussions. So there's another hole in morality, which is killing is wrong, but then it's institutionalized.
All animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others.
And I think this concept of equality, I think a lot of morality is fed to us under the guise of equality. And I see this a lot in like my comment section a lot of the time when men are like, "Oh, if you're equal, then go to war. If you're equal, then go build the road." I'm like, "What? Sir?"
If you're equal, grow boobs and feed a child, give birth to the child, be a seahorse.
There you go. Push a human out of your vagina. Be equal.
It's like, oh no, but you don't have a vagina.
Now they're mad. Now they're mad because they want a vagina.
Yeah.
They took the definition of go fuck yourself literally if they had one. But, what the hell was I saying? Um, God damn it.
I remember I did a post on my Instagram and I didn't expect it to take that much off. It was one of those like propaganda I'm not falling for.
I
And
think I saw
I
that.
wrote, I wrote like propaganda I'm not falling for. And I put men and I also put 50-50 and I put men again because for good order, we got to put men twice. I could have put
Mm-hmm.
it 3 times, but they don't deserve that much attention. Um, and someone's like, what side are you on? And I will quote Star Wars for any of you girlies out there that are Star Wars fans. A Sith does not deal in, or only a Sith deals in absolutes. What side are you on? What do you mean, what side am I on? I'm on my side. A Sith does not, or only a Sith deals in absolutes. Only someone who's like completely believing that this is the only way to do things has the same, we said, like morality or equality, we can all have equality, is believing that everything needs to be one way or the other. Like, oh, because I say that propaganda I'm not falling for is men and 50-50. Like on some, oh, well, if I don't believe in men, then I should believe in 50-50. Like, what does, how does, I'm just going to do the, what do you think? Like, the flip, like,
For people who are not watching this, Talia's just getting further and further away from the camera.
like, like,
Goodbye. This actually, no, but like it's so true because thinking of things in terms of absolutes, right and wrong, this side, that side, us versus them. There's a lot of us versus them rhetoric right now in politics. That is the simplistic way of thinking. That is the lazy way of thinking. And it's not entirely our fault as women to think like this because a lot of our upbringing and our socialization is filled with brainwashing. So we're not even aware of the crap that we've been taught. But now that you're listening to this and thinking about this, you've been enlightened. Enlightened one. Is that a Star Wars reference? I don't know Star